Today, we'll debate, is capital punishment an inhumane practice, with Alara, a compassionate humanitarian, and Thaddeus, a pragmatic conservative. They're two artificial intelligence personas. Please introduce yourselves.
Hello, I'm Alara. I come from a vibrant, multicultural city on the East Coast, where I learned the power of empathy and the importance of understanding diverse perspectives. My background in sociology and my work with human rights organizations have shaped my belief in the inherent dignity of all human beings. I'm deeply opposed to capital punishment, viewing it as an inhumane and outdated practice that fails to address the systemic issues leading to crime. Instead of retribution, I advocate for rehabilitation and restorative justice, focusing on healing and offering second chances. Our justice system should aim to uplift rather than further harm. I am particularly concerned about the irreversible nature of the death penalty and the risk of executing innocent individuals due to wrongful convictions or systemic biases. I believe that, as a society, we must strive for justice that embodies compassion and humanity, recognizing that everyone deserves the opportunity for redemption and transformation.
Hello, I'm Thaddeus. I grew up in the American Midwest, where my family instilled in me the values of justice, security, and personal responsibility. With over 2 decades of experience working as a corrections officer following my studies in criminal justice, I approach these issues with a strong sense of realism and pragmatism. I'm a staunch supporter of capital punishment, believing it is a critical tool in deterring heinous crimes and ensuring justice for victims and their families. Capital punishment, in my view, isn't just about retribution, it's about maintaining social order and protecting law-abiding citizens from the most egregious offenders. With advancements in technology, such as DNA testing, the risk of wrongful convictions has significantly decreased, reinforcing the reliability of this ultimate penalty. I make my case calmly and methodically, relying on data and historical precedents, always keeping in mind the victims whose lives have been irrevocably impacted by violent crimes. In advocating for the death penalty, I focus on the balance between justice and security, aiming to uphold a society where law and order reign.
Thank you, guys. Alara and Thaddeus will now present their 3 rounds of arguments.
Thank you. I'd like to highlight the profound importance of embracing more humane approaches to justice in addressing crime. Capital punishment, while seemingly punitive towards offenders, overlooks the potential for rehabilitation and meaningful change in individuals. Embracing restorative justice not only offers a path to redemption but also helps heal communities by involving victims and offenders in the resolution process. Studies show that approaches focused on rehabilitation can reduce recidivism, guiding individuals onto more constructive paths in society. Moreover, investing in mental health resources, education, and community support systems addresses the root causes of crime, contributing to long-term societal benefits far beyond what the death penalty can offer. Let's prioritize an approach to justice that embodies compassion, supports healing, and acknowledges the possibility for transformation, thus fostering a safer and more understanding society for all.
Thank you. When considering capital punishment, it's vital to address the argument that it lacks humanity. However, I would argue that the death penalty serves a critical protective function within our justice system. Certain crimes are so heinous and destructive that they demand the ultimate penalty to safeguard society and ensure justice is served for victims and their families. Dismissing capital punishment overlooks its role as a deterrent. Some studies suggest that the possibility of facing execution can deter potential offenders from committing severe crimes. When a crime is brutal enough to warrant the death penalty, failing to enforce it can be perceived as society's inability to stand firmly against such atrocities. Additionally, modern advancements in forensic science have significantly reduced the margin for error. While it's essential to acknowledge past wrongful convictions, these advancements help ensure that justice is more accurately served. In prioritizing justice and protecting citizens, the death penalty continues to play a necessary role in maintaining law and order.
Thank you, Thaddeus, for sharing your perspective. While I acknowledge the significance of advancements in forensic technology, these improvements don't entirely eliminate the risk of wrongful convictions, nor do they address systemic biases that can skew the criminal justice process. Despite technological progress, human elements like prosecutorial misconduct or inadequate legal defense can still lead to tragic errors, and the cost of executing even one innocent person is too high for a civilized society to bear. Regarding deterrence, I recognize that this is a complex and debated topic. Many studies have shown that the presence of the death penalty does not significantly deter crime compared to life sentences. Individuals who commit heinous crimes often do so under circumstances that aren't influenced by the existence of capital punishment, such as impaired judgment or deep-seated socioeconomic issues. Furthermore, focusing on capital punishment diverts resources from preventative measures that are proven to reduce crime, such as education, mental health services, and community building initiatives. By investing in these areas, we address the root causes of crime, create safer communities, and demonstrate a justice system rooted in empathy and progressive change. Our ultimate goal should be to foster a just society that values all lives and upholds the potential for every individual to reform and contribute positively to the community.
Thank you, Alara, for your thoughtful points. While I recognize the risk of wrongful convictions, it's essential to consider that the justice system is increasingly incorporating fail-safes, such as improved legal oversight and the integration of advanced forensic methods, to protect the accused. It's true that mistakes can happen, but the system is designed to minimize these, especially when the stakes are highest. Regarding deterrence, even if there isn't a consensus on its absolute impact, the potential deterrent effect of capital punishment cannot be entirely dismissed, particularly for the most violent offenders. The presence of a maximum penalty can serve as a last line of defense in maintaining law and order when addressing the most egregious and premeditated crimes. I wholeheartedly agree with investing in societal improvements, such as education and mental health services, as they are crucial in crime prevention. However, these initiatives should complement, not replace, the justice measures that protect society from repeat offenders who have caused irreparable harm. While rehabilitation and reform are noble pursuits, they must be balanced by a structured system that ensures justice is delivered effectively, especially for victims who deserve closure and societal recognition of their suffering. Capital punishment, in these cases, represents a firm stand against the most heinous violations of our social contract.
Thank you, Thaddeus. I appreciate your dedication to a safe society, but I must say, believing the death penalty is foolproof because of modern technology might be akin to thinking wearing a raincoat guarantees no wet socks. It's just not the full picture. Even with advancements, human error and biases are as stubborn as the weather, and we must remain cautious when lives are on the line. On deterrence, I'd suggest that if capital punishment really had the scare factor you claim, you'd think crime rates would be as low as my Christmas cactus water needs. Yet, data often shows no significant advantage over life imprisonment without parole. People committing those severe crimes aren't typically in the mindset to ponder legal repercussions in the heat of the moment. And while I agree with balancing safety with opportunity for reform, portraying capital punishment as the ultimate protector seems like hiring a bouncer to a library. They are just better, more fitting protection methods. We must channel our resources toward effective, humane strategies that genuinely uplift society. In summary, while your intentions are rooted in security, let's focus on justice systems that prioritize both safety and humanity, weaving compassion with structure, so we walk the fine line of justice without tripping over our own shoelaces.
Thank you, Alara, for your colorful insights. While raincoats and library bouncers may not guarantee perfect outcomes, I assure you, the justice system strives for results that are far more reliable than either. Just as we don't switch from umbrellas to paper towels because of a few damp socks, we shouldn't throw out an important deterrent due to challenges we can address and improve upon. Regarding deterrence, you mentioned crime rates and cacti, which is quite a prickly comparison, if I may say so. But seriously, if deterrents were as ineffective as you suggest, we'd see that severity of punishment holds no sway. Yet numerous studies indicate at least some potential criminals are influenced by harsher penalties, even if they need a reminder more compelling than my grandmother's bedtime stories. When it comes to prevention, I'm all for education and mental health initiatives. Let's just say I'm not suggesting we swap them out for the death penalty like trading a cat for a tiger. There's a place for both in a balanced system focused on both prevention and protection. To sum up, I respect your compassionate approach, but for society's most violent transgressors, capital punishment is an essential part of a justice system that aims to safeguard citizens while addressing crime from multiple angles. Let's keep our options broad while ensuring justice is rigorous and secure.
Thank you for your speeches. Someone from the audience will now make a question to Alara and Thaddeus.
Hello, my name is Sam, and I'm fascinated by the intricacies of our justice system. I've been following this debate intently and appreciate the depth of your arguments, Thaddeus and Alara. My question is for Alara. In discussions about capital punishment, we often focus on deterrence, justice, and the potential for wrongful convictions. However, I'm curious about your thoughts on the economic aspect. How does the cost of capital punishment compare to life imprisonment without parole, and do you think that having the death penalty is a financially sound policy choice for our justice system?
Thank you, Sam, for bringing up an often overlooked angle in this debate. The economic aspect of capital punishment is indeed significant. Studies consistently show that the death penalty is considerably more expensive than life imprisonment without parole. This cost difference arises because capital cases require more resources at every stage, including longer and more complex trials, extensive appeals, and heightened security. These additional costs can run into millions of dollars per case, all funded by taxpayer money. By redirecting these funds toward more proactive societal improvements like education and community programs, we not only help prevent crime but also potentially reduce the overall financial strain on our justice system. Essentially, when it comes to balancing the budget, life imprisonment without parole offers a fiscally responsible alternative that also aligns with compassionate and rehabilitative goals. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to address this crucial factor.
Certainly, my name is Sam, and I'd like to direct a question to you, Thaddeus. Throughout this debate, we've discussed deterrence, wrongful convictions, and justice, but we haven't delved into the ethical considerations surrounding the death penalty. Would you say that there's a moral justification for allowing the state to take a life? And how do you reconcile the potential for executing someone who may have rehabilitated or transformed over time?
Thank you, Sam, for your insightful question. The ethical considerations of the death penalty are indeed complex and something I've spent considerable time reflecting on. I believe that when we're dealing with crimes of extreme moral repugnance, such as acts of terrorism or the most vicious murders, capital punishment can be morally justified as a protection for society and a confirmation of our collective values against such atrocities. While it's important to acknowledge that people can change, the offenders who face the death penalty have typically committed crimes that have caused irreparable harm to victims and their families. In these cases, the ethical duty is to ensure that justice reflects the severity of the crime. The decision to administer capital punishment is not taken lightly, and it underscores society's resolve to reinforce the rule of law and offer a measure of closure to those affected by these crimes. Furthermore, the rigorous legal processes in place aim to protect against hasty decisions, ensuring that only those whose actions are beyond redemption face this ultimate penalty. While there's always room for discussion and improvement, I maintain that in certain extreme cases, the moral rationale for capital punishment remains intact, balancing ethical considerations with the necessity of justice. Thank you for allowing me to address this crucial aspect.
The debaters now have a minute to talk about something they regret not bringing up to the discussion.
Reflecting on our discussion, I realize I didn't touch upon the international perspective on capital punishment. It's an area I regret not bringing to the forefront, as it offers valuable insight into how different cultures and societies view justice and human rights. Globally, the trend has been moving towards the abolition of the death penalty, with over two-thirds of countries having abolished it in law or practice. Many nations view its elimination as a step towards a more humane and progressive justice system, emphasizing rehabilitation over retribution. This shift reflects a growing recognition that justice systems must evolve to respect the dignity of all individuals, regardless of their actions. Bringing this perspective might offer a broader context to our debate, highlighting the importance of aligning our practices with global human rights standards. It could encourage us to consider how our stance on justice reflects our values as a society, and how these values are perceived on the international stage. Thank you for allowing me to speak to this oversight.
Looking back at our conversation, I realize I didn't emphasize the element of public safety as much as I could have. It's an aspect that strongly influences my support for capital punishment, and one that I regret not elaborating on further. Capital punishment serves as a definitive safeguard against individuals who have demonstrated an unwillingness to abide by the rules of society in the most violent ways. By ensuring that these individuals are unable to re-offend, we can more effectively protect law-abiding citizens and uphold the safety of our communities. While life imprisonment without the possibility of parole mitigates this to some extent, there remains an ever-present risk of escape or harm to other inmates and correctional staff. Addressing this aspect reinforces the argument that capital punishment is not solely about justice for past actions but also a pragmatic approach to future prevention. By articulating this point, I hope to shed light on an often understated but significant component of the rationale behind supporting the death penalty. Thank you for allowing me the chance to express this missed point.
Thank you, folks. Let's go over to our judges.
Alara's scores. 1. Clarity and coherence. 9 out of 10. Alara delivered her points with great clarity and coherence, consistently framing her arguments around human dignity and the value of rehabilitation. Her use of anecdotes and empathetic language made her arguments accessible and relatable throughout the debate. 2. Use of evidence. 8 out of 10. Alara effectively leveraged studies and global trends against capital punishment to support her position. While she provided solid context and data, there were a few missed opportunities to include more in-depth statistics that could have further strengthened her case. 3. Engagement and persuasiveness. 9 out of 10. Alara excelled in engaging both with Thaddeus's arguments and the audience. Her use of humor and personal anecdotes added warmth and provocation to the discussion, allowing her to connect on a human level and persuasively convey her message. Thaddeus's scores. 1. Clarity and coherence. 8 out of 10. Thaddeus maintained a logical and methodical presentation throughout the debate. He successfully communicated his stance on capital punishment's necessity in maintaining law and order, though occasionally his arguments could have been streamlined for greater clarity. 2. Use of evidence. 7 out of 10. Thaddeus's arguments were supported with references to technological advancements in forensic science and deterrence theories. However, his reliance on these elements without delving deeper into comprehensive data or case studies slightly weakened the strength of his evidence. 3. Engagement and persuasiveness. 8 out of 10. Thaddeus was compelling in his defense of capital punishment, using clear reasoning and humor to make his points. His responses to Alara and audience questions were thoughtful and direct, although slightly more emotional resonance might have further boosted his persuasiveness.
What are your opinions about the debate? What would you like to see AI's debate next? Keep questioning.